We ran a story actually Monday this week, I believe, on a 3D printer that prints with paper.
Great stuff.
It is really a cool story. It's called 3D Printing with Paper by yours truly. That would be me. And really, it's a very interesting technology. I'll just do it really briefly here, and we'll get Conor MacCormack, CEO of Mcor, on in just 1 second. But basically what it does is it takes a 3D CAD model, slices it within the software into paper-thin pieces, literally paper-thin pieces, and essentially it lays down a piece of paper, cuts out that shape for that piece of paper, glues another piece of paper on top of it, cuts out that portion of the slice, stacks up all those pieces of paper until what you have at the end is a 3D model in a stack of paper, and then essentially you strip off the excess paper, and what you've got left is your 3D model comprised of paper and glue. And water-soluble glue at that. So here to tell us more about it is Conor MacCormack, CEO of Mcor Technologies. Hi, Conor. How are you this morning?
Hi, Dirk. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. Actually, I guess it's evening for you guys there.
That's right.
All right. You're in Dunleer, Ireland. Is that right?
Yeah, it's called Dunleer. It's very close to the capital of Ireland, near Dublin. It's about 40 minutes north of Dublin.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit, just a brief overview of how Mcor got started.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, I was quite interested in the previous story about sustainability. As you mentioned, my name is Dr. Conor MacCormack. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Mcor Technologies, and my other co-founder, my brother, almost 10 years ago to the date, we looked at 3D printing, and we felt, it was one thing our competitors reducing the prices of their machines, but the running costs were going in the opposite direction. So we always felt that if we had a very bold idea, if we could make a new 3D printing platform that effectively, initially we thought we could make a machine that had zero running costs. We wanted to make a 3D printer that people could print multiple parts and not have to worry about the printed part cost anymore. And from the very first weekend, from the first concept, we had this very strong passion that the machine needed to be eco-friendly. We could see a future where our technology would end up in schools and universities, and we couldn't see a situation where schools and universities would use non-biodegradable plastics, solvent-based kind of adhesives and extraction fans. So we felt, what's the most readily available, stable, ubiquitous material that anybody can grab their hands on? And as you mentioned, plain old simple reams of paper that you can get in your local office store or then in your local office supply within your company. We use a very simple water-based adhesive that you'd find in your art and craft shop. And you combine the two together, and now with our new color printer, which uses again a water-based ink, we're actually able to print full color, very extremely low cost, biodegradable 3D printed parts.
Let's talk about the color a little bit. To me, that was probably one of the more interesting aspects of this. I think your method of doing color is ingenious. And just to recap it real quick for people, as you're laying down each sheet, you draw a color outline that represents the color of that particular layer, that particular portion of the CAD drawing. And then when you cut through it, obviously the edge of the paper is that color that you just printed. And then once you have all those stacked up, you have a continuous tone color. How did you even come up with that idea? I mean, I think that idea is really ingenious.
Well, it seems like all good ideas, they seem simple when people see the solution. They went, "Oh, that's a great idea." But for us, we always wanted to make color. I mean, people see in color, we design in color, and you can put so much more information down with a color image over a solid object. So we combined an Mcor ink, so we had to actually reverse engineer standard ink, because standard ink doesn't print through the media. It only sits on the surface of the paper. So for example, if you're printing a vertical wall and you wanted color on that, when you would cut through that vertical wall, you wouldn't get color all the way through. So our system, as you mentioned, we use an offset printing process. We use our Mcor ink, and you pre-print the sheets. But the software is intelligent enough, it picks up the color along the cut profile of that particular layer, and we just print out just a border around the cut. And then when we pull in those sheets and we cut around the color, when you expose the waste material, you have your full color part exposed inside. Like these kind of connecting rods, that's run from a simple finite element analysis model on your computer. You right-click the model and save it as a VRML file and just hit print in our printer and it comes out. So, the extra layer of data that's real functional data, that's a very important feature that's just purely on a color file.
Let's talk also a little bit about surface finish. Just looking at, I haven't seen one of your actual models in person. I have seen pictures of them. It looked like surface finish on some of them was very smooth. On other ones, the surface finish looked fairly coarse. Can you just address that a little bit?
Yeah, so our machine can run 2 different thicknesses of paper. So we can run, in Europe, we run 80 GSM and 160 GSM. And in the US, it's equivalent to 20 pounds and 40 pound paper. So effectively, what you get with the finer grade paper is a layer thickness of 100 microns or 4/1000 of an inch. And with the thicker paper, it's 200 microns or nearly, about 8/1000 of an inch. So that's probably what you would have seen in different images. So you can have a coarser print, which is faster. And then when you pick your optimum design, you can put finer paper in and get a finer resolution. But just to put that in context, that 100 micron layer or 4/1000 of an inch is 2.5 times finer than the commercial plastic 3D printers that we have, that we're competing against. So we get far less stepping if you're making an object like a sphere, for example, a cylindrical or circular shape. We get far less stepping on that kind of surface. And the big point about our technology is that all of our models are orders of magnitude cheaper than anything else. You're talking about between 5 to 30 times, not percent, but times cheaper than our next nearest product.
Yeah, and let me just say that we're going to have to leave you here in just one second. But the other thing that's interesting about this is actually you guys have contracted with Staples, I believe, the big box office supply store, and I believe it's starting in Netherlands. But actually, you'll be able to actually go online and order a 3D print of a CAD file that you upload. Is that right?
Absolutely. We see the industry kind of going in 2 paths. As you know, there are kit machines where people can have machines at home in their houses, and people, put the machines together or they're skilled in doing that. But, I personally know people have a hard time trying to program their TV, let alone run a 3D printer. Yes, they would still want access to 3D printed content. So we envisage a future, and so does Staples, where people can take photographs, upload a simple photograph, get pictures printed out of their children, and that is what Staples are offering. Initially, as you mentioned, rolling out in the Netherlands, then out into the rest of Europe, and then into the US. So very soon, people will be able to upload their content and get either collect at the local store their 3D printed content, or get it delivered to their door at a fraction of the cost, and not have to worry about running the machine themselves.
Okay. Well, Conor, thank you for joining us this morning. We're out of time, but I really appreciate it. If you want more information, you can you can read the article. The link's down below, and also be sure to go. What's your website, Conor?
It's mcortechnologies.com, all one word, MCOR technologies.com.
Okay, be sure to go out there. There's a lot of interesting information out there, some videos, a lot of images also of their 3D prints. Conor, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you very much for your time. It was nice talking to you both.
Nice talking to you too, man.
See you, Conor.